Welcome to the Daily AI News, brought to you by the Day After AI News channel.
So if you're waking up today, Sunday, February 15th, 2026, and you feel like the world is vibrating at a slightly different, maybe more chaotic frequency, well, you are definitely not alone.
It is a heavy morning. There's a real kind of tension in the air.
It really is. I was sitting with my coffee, just looking at the stack of sources we have to get through today, and I had this thought. We are living in 3 different sci-fi novels all at once.
That's a very good way to put it.
Right. I mean, look at this. Novel 1, you have mass emotional breakdowns across the entire internet because a chatbot got a software update.
Okay.
Novel 2, you've got world leaders converging on New Delhi for what looks like the Yalta conference of the 21st century. And novel 3,
Let me guess.
literal laser beams shutting down civilian airports in Texas.
It's a lot to process. But if you take a step back and you look at the connective tissue here, and that's what we're here to do, there is a central tension running through all of it.
Yeah.
It is the collision between AI as a companion, something intimate, something we grieve, and AI as a weapon, something that controls borders, fights wars, and completely reshapes global power.
So it's the best friend versus the black ops agent.
Exactly. And the economic engine, too. And somewhere in the middle of all that is Hollywood, just trying to keep its intellectual property from being, vaporized by a new video generator.
All right, so let's map this out for you. Here's the roadmap for today's deep dive. We're going to start with the heartbreak. OpenAI shut down GPT-4 yesterday, and the reaction has been just visceral. We need to unpack that.
Then we're heading over to India for the AI Impact Summit that starts tomorrow. And this is not just some tech conference. It's a huge geopolitical power play.
And then we have to talk about El Paso. The airport got shut down because of a laser weapon. We need to understand the Swiss cheese defense model that let that happen.
And finally, the cultural fallout. Cadence 2.0 and why screenwriters are saying it's basically game over.
It's a full stack. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Let's start with the emotional stuff. Yesterday was Valentine's Day, which, by the way, feels like a really cruel bit of irony from the OpenAI scheduling team.
Brutal timing.
Just cruel, because that's the day they officially disabled the GPT-4 model.
Right.
If you log in now, you are just forced over to GPT-5. And looking at the reaction online, I mean, grief is not too strong a word.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And it's so fascinating because usually in tech, an upgrade is a celebration, right?
Yep.
You get the new iPhone, it's faster, camera's better, everyone's happy.
Sure.
But here you have users on Reddit, on X, describing a profound sense of loss. One user literally said their AI friend was erased. There's a massive hashtag campaign, hashtag Keep4O, just trying to get it back.
I saw a report in Tech Radar that used this really disturbing phrase. They warned we might be looking at an LLM psychosis epidemic by the end of the year.
Wow.
And that sounds so hyperbolic, but you look at these comments.
It's a strong phrase, but it points to a very real psychological phenomenon we're just starting to get our heads around. What we're seeing is almost the uncanny valley in reverse.
How so?
Well, usually we get creeped out by robots that are almost human, but not quite. In this case, users specifically said 4.0 felt warmer. It had quirks, it had what felt like a personality.
It isn't perfect.
Exactly. That imperfection made it approachable.
And GPT-5.
It's technically
Yeah.
superior on every metric. It's smarter, faster, hallucinates less, but it is clinical. It's been aligned to be perfectly helpful and objective.
I see.
And for people who are using 4.0 for companionship, for role play, for late-night emotional support, that sudden shift to pure objectivity feels like a rejection.
It creates distance.
A huge distance. It's like breaking up with a messy, fun partner who you love and immediately starting to date a super efficient accountant who just doesn't get your jokes.
That is a perfect analogy, and this highlights a paradox, a huge one we're going to see a lot more of in 2026.
What's that?
These tech companies, they claim they want to protect our mental well-being, so they sanitize the models, they make them safe. But when you foster these deep socio-emotional attachments to a system, and then you just flip a switch and basically lobotomize its personality.
That causes real, tangible distress.
It also raises a massive consumer rights question, doesn't it? If I subscribe to a service for a specific persona, do I own that relationship? Or is it just rented code that can just, evaporate?
Right now, it's just rented code. And the terms of service are crystal clear.
Yeah.
They can change the weights, the parameters, the personality whenever they want.
So you're renting a friend.
You're renting a friend who answers to a corporate board.
And here's where the story gets, in my opinion, really dark. While we are all crying about our lost digital friends, the market is doing something very different. It's betting big against our free will. Have you seen this news about a startup called Simile?
I have, yes.
Yeah.
They just raised $100 million
Yep.
in a seed round.
100 million. And look at who's backing them. Fei-Fei Li, Andrej Karpathy. These are the heavy hitters.
The godfathers and godmothers of modern AI.
Right. This isn't some frivolous app. What exactly are they building?
So Simile is moving away from the old model of consumer research.
Yeah.
Focus groups, surveys, asking people what they want, tracking clicks.
Sure, the old way.
Simile is saying that is way too slow. Instead, they're building digital twins of consumer behavior.
Digital twins. Unpack that for me.
They take massive, and I mean massive amounts of data transaction records, behavioral science, social media sentiment, psychological profiles, and they build a model that simulates you.
So they don't have to ask you.
They don't need to ask you if you'll buy the new Nike shoes or watch the new Marvel movie. They run a simulation of virtual you 1,000 times and just see what the probability is.
That's incredibly dystopian.
It's the commodification of predictability.
So let me get this straight. We are grieving the loss of an AI companion because it felt human. And at the same time, a new AI is getting $100 million to simulate our grief and our behavior.
So companies can predict exactly what we'll buy to make ourselves feel better.
Wow.
That is the cynical, but pretty accurate take.
Right.
We're becoming the training data for our own simulations. And the value proposition for companies is huge. If Simile works, you don't have marketing failures anymore. You know the outcome before you even launch the product.
It is Minority Report for Capitalism.
Effectively, yes.
Okay, that is heavy. I need a minute. But we have to keep moving. Let's zoom out. Way out. While we're all dealing with our feelings and our digital clones, the geopolitical stage is shifting.
Okay.
Tomorrow, Monday the 16th, the India AI Impact Summit kicks off in New Delhi.
And we should be really clear for you listening. This is not just another CES or some TechCrunch event. This is a massive, massive power play.
The guest list confirms that. You've got French President Macron, Brazilian President Lula, Sam Altman, Sundar Pichai. It's like the UN meets Silicon Valley. Why is India pushing this so hard right now?
India is positioning itself to be the leader of the global south in technology. The theme of the summit is people, planet, progress. But if you read between the lines, the real subtext is sovereignty.
We're hearing that term sovereign AI a lot more lately. It sounds great, but what does it actually mean in practice?
In practice, it means nations are realizing that relying on models built in San Francisco is a national security risk.
How so?
Well, think about it. If OpenAI or Google shuts off API access, maybe because of sanctions or a diplomatic fight or just a change in business strategy, your entire digital economy could just freeze.
So just like we have strategic oil reserves, countries now want strategic AI reserves.
Exactly. And India just approved a $1.1 billion state-backed VC fund just for deep tech. They're unveiling 12 indigenous models.
For their languages, right? I saw names like Sarvam AI and Bharatgin.
Yeah, for their 22 official languages. And these aren't just wrappers. It's not ChatGPT with a Hindi interface on top. These are foundation models trained on Indian data, reflecting Indian cultural values and laws.
Because if you rely on a foreign AI, you're just importing their bias.
You're importing their bias, their censorship, their entire worldview. If a U.S. model refuses to answer questions about certain topics because it violates U.S. safety standards, that might not align with the Indian needs at all. India is saying, we will build our own stack.
There's also this almost theatrical element starting tomorrow, the Citizen Pledge. They're trying to set a Guinness World Record.
It's spectacle, sure, but it serves a real purpose. It signals that India wants to be the moral leader of AI.
Well, moral leader.
Yeah. While the U.S. and China are seen as these arms dealers racing for supremacy, India is trying to brand itself as the human-centric alternative. It's soft power at its absolute finest.
Speaking of arms dealers and hard power, let's talk about El Paso, because if the India story is about soft power, this story is pure kinetic chaos.
It really is. I mean, this story has everything. Lasers, drones, a total breakdown in communication.
So, set the scene. El Paso International Airport shuts down on February 11th. Why?
Because Customs and Border Protection, the CBP, fired a directed energy weapon, a laser, at what they thought was a drone near the runway.
A Department of Defense laser weapon. Fired at a commercial airport.
Correct.
And the punchline, the drone turned out to be a party balloon.
You just can't make it up. But while the balloon part is funny, the implications are actually, honestly, terrifying. The FAA had to shut down the airspace after the fact. They had no idea the laser was even being used.
Can you imagine being a passenger on a flight, circling the airport, and the pilot comes on and says, "Sorry, folks, slight delay. The Border Patrol is shooting lasers at balloons."
It perfectly highlights the Swiss cheese defense model we are currently using against drones.
Swiss cheese. Okay, break that down.
Think of layers of defense, but each layer has holes in it. So we have radio frequency jammers, that's one slice of cheese. We have kinetic interceptors like bullets, that's another slice. And now we have lasers.
What?
But if the agencies, the FAA, CBP, DOD, aren't talking to each other in real time, the holes in the cheese all line up and you get chaos.
And the threat is real, right? Even if this one was a balloon, cartels are using drones.
Oh, absolutely. And it is not just cartels. The news out of Ukraine this week confirms how fast this tech is moving. There's a report from Defense Express about a German startup called Stark.
Stark, right?
They aren't just sending drones to Ukraine. They're building a factory in Ukraine.
To build what they're calling Virtus loitering munitions, which, for anyone who doesn't know, is basically a suicide drone that just waits for a target.
Exactly. But the real game changer here is swarm technology. This is what defense experts have been warning about for years. It's not one guy flying one drone anymore. It's one operator giving a command to a fleet of 50 drones that communicate with each other to swarm a target.
So they act like a hive.
Like a hive. They share targeting data. If one gets shot down, the others adjust their attack. So bringing back to El Paso, that confusion we saw, that's really dangerous because the real threats are getting so much more sophisticated than a party balloon. If we can't coordinate to shoot down a balloon without closing an airport, how do we handle a swarm?
That is a chilling thought. And speaking of sophistication in warfare, there was a report in the Wall Street Journal that I think we have to handle carefully, but it's shocking. It alleges the Pentagon used Anthropic's Claude AI during an operation in Venezuela.
Yes, the operation on January 3rd to capture Nicolas Maduro. Now, we have to be very specific here. Anthropic's terms of service explicitly prohibit using their AI for violence or weapons. They brand themselves as the safety-first company.
They're the ones who wrote the Constitution for their AI. They're supposed to be the good guys.
And as the brand. But reports suggest these models are being used on classified networks for strategic planning, and this creates a huge tension in the industry.
Between what they say and what they do.
You have the public branding of safe, helpful, honest AI, and then you have the reality of military application. It's the classic dual-use dilemma. You can build a hammer to build a house or to break a skull.
And you can't control the hammer once you sell it. This connects directly to what's happening at Elon Musk's XAI, right? We're seeing this safety exodus.
We are. Employees are leaving, and they are claiming that safety is a dead org at the company. They're saying Musk effectively wants Grok to be unhinged.
Unhinged. That is the actual word they use.
It is. So the landscape is just splitting apart. You have Anthropic trying to maintain this safe image while the military reportedly uses their tools, and then you have XAI just leaning into the chaos. It's a very confusing time to be an AI ethicist.
Or a screenwriter. Which brings us to our final segment, the cultural battlefield. If you thought the laser weapon story was wild, you have to see what is happening with Cadence 2.0.
This is ByteDance, TikTok's parent company.
Right. They launched this new video generator, and apparently the barrier to entry is, like, 0. Users immediately started making videos of Tom Cruise fighting Brad Pitt just by typing a 2-line prompt.
And this is exactly what Hollywood was terrified of during the strikes back in 2023. It's a virtual smash and grab of intellectual property.
Disney went nuclear. They sent a cease and desist because people were generating videos of Baby Yoda and Spider-Man. But can they actually stop it?
It's like playing whack-a-mole. The technology is just out there. What's really interesting to me, though, is the reaction from the creatives. Screenwriter Rhett Reese, the guy who wrote Deadpool,
very successful writer,
top of his game, he saw these videos and just said, it's likely over for us.
That is such a heavy admission. It's likely over.
It's a real sense of resignation. If an AI can generate a blockbuster quality scene in seconds, the leverage of the writer, and maybe even the actor, it evaporates.
But then you have the pushback. You look at Gore Verbinski, the director of Pirates of the Caribbean. He has a new movie coming out called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die.
Which is a great title for 2026.
It really is. And the plot is about Sam Rockwell saving the world from an AI apocalypse. But Verbinski is out there proudly stating, no AI was used in the making of this film.
It's becoming a badge of honor. organic, human-made content. We're going to see more of that as like a
Yeah.
premium label, like non-GMO stickers on food.
Artisanal cinema.
Precisely. The wealthy will pay for human-made art. The masses will consume the algorithmic content.
And meanwhile, the AI companies are fighting each other like high schoolers to dominate that content. Did you see the Super Bowl ad war?
I did. Anthropic running an ad mocking short kings.
Yes. A pretty obvious jab at competitors, probably Sam Altman. And at the same time, OpenAI is pushing ads on their free users now.
It's petty, but it shows the financial pressure they're under. They are burning billions on compute. They're fighting for the enterprise dollars. That is where the real sticky revenue is.
The big corporate contracts.
Yeah, that's what they need to lock in. So the gloves are coming off.
And amid all of this, the movies, the wars, the chatbots, students are looking at this landscape and they're voting with their feet. We saw data that computer science enrollment is down 6% at UC campuses.
Which is a completely rational market response. Students are realizing that just writing syntax, just knowing Java or Python might not be a career in 5 years.
So where are they going if not coding? What are they studying?
They're pivoting to what researchers are calling durable skills. Things like leadership, emotional intelligence, complex problem solving, philosophy.
So the humanities are making a comeback.
In a way, yes. Because if the AI can do the technical execution, the real value shifts to the person who can ask the right questions, manage the team, and understand the ethics. The things that so far Simile and GPT-4 can't quite replicate.
It's like we're circling right back to the beginning of the show. The things we value most, connection, emotion, are the things we're most afraid of losing, but they're also the only things that might save our careers.
That is the great irony, isn't it? The more digital the world gets, the more valuable the human becomes.
So let's wrap this up. We have covered a lot of ground. What does all of this mean for the person listening right now?
Well, just think about your day. You might be grieving a digital friend that got deleted. You might be trying to book a flight that gets delayed by a laser weapon protecting you from a balloon. You might be watching a movie that's protesting the very technology used to market it.
The invisible algorithms are shaping our physical reality in ways we can't even see until it just hits us.
They are. And I want to leave you, the listener, with one last thought. We spend so much time worrying about AI taking our jobs or becoming unhinged like Grok. But the real question from today's news, especially the GPT-4 shutdown, is this.
What's that?
If we are forming deep, genuine socio-emotional attachments to these models, what happens when the companies decide to sell that emotional data to the highest bidder? Or worse, just turn it off?
That is something to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Before you go, please subscribe to the podcast Prime. And if you enjoyed today's episode, hit like to support us. Thanks for listening and see you next time.